Welcome to the Action Over Ideas podcast. Most practice owners don't have an ideas problem, they have an execution problem. This show is for the chiropractors and health practice owners who are done planning and ready to move. Each episode, Billy and Chris take the conversations happening in practices right now and turn them into clear, actionable decisions, teams, systems, growth. The moves most owners know they need to make, but keep avoiding, delaying, or overthinking. No more waiting for the perfect plan. Decisions first, results follow. Let's get started.
Billy, it's good to see you.
Chris, always great to see you.
How's the week been?
Oh, for me, I've had a busy week. What have I done? Well, I was in Sydney last week, so that was partially presidential role, obviously with the ACA. So I had some meetings there, caught up with the marketing comms people at the ACA to work out Spinal Health Week for this year.
Amazing.
And then I was there in Manly on the Friday night because we had our first Connect and Learn for the year. So we had the wonderful turnout. We had like 35, it was booked out, so we had 35 members and non-members. And I always sort of stress that these events, obviously they're designed for members, but non-members are definitely welcome. And we get non-members and obviously students. So that was fantastic. What else? So also just been gearing up for the beginning of the ACC, the Australian Chiro College, start of the year, semester one. So I'm involved with that as a lecturer, so I'm super excited about that. And then I've just had like some really awesome sessions with my clients, with my coaching clients. So that's been great. So it's been jam-packed. How about yourself?
That's fantastic. You've been juggling multiple things by the sounds of it. I saw a good photo of you at the Connect and Learn. Looked like everyone was having fun.
Yeah, it was great. And I think it's really important for people to, like, if anyone's interested, I mean, like, look, you don't have to be an ACA member. We'd love for you to be an ACA member. But jump on our website and have a look at where they're at in your city, in your state, that are throughout the year. And I'd say that we definitely have great speakers and great topics, but we want to make it more 70-30, like connecting is the 70 and the learning is the 30. Not that the learning is not important, but it's, connecting. As practitioners, we tend to be sometimes in silos, isolated, and that getting to connect with your friends, your colleagues, your peers, or to meet new people is fantastic over a soft drink or a glass of wine or a beer and some food, and then get to learn.
Yeah. It's why I called my company with the word connect.
Yes, I know.
I think it's very important, and the more I'm getting out there speaking to owners, associates, is connections very important. And I think you're right. Like with the silos, it's just a great excuse to get out there, talk, brainstorm. It's very important. So yeah, love what you're doing there.
Yeah, and how about yourself? I mean, I guess for you. You get to really sort of, I mean, for me, like with my clients, I'm generally working with them in their business to help them grow, market, get their team working better. For you, it's a different aspect of that, and that is to help them grow, but in a way where it's connecting them with, like a new associate, or to find them someone, or to find a chiropractor a new role, a new job, or even a CA. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been great the last week. It's actually been more focused on helping owners build out the capacity to take on multiple chiropractors or bring on better CAs and create an ecosystem or a great culture that people want to be a part of. So that takes time. It's not overnight, unfortunately, but it pays off a lot for not only the owner to be able to build that business out, but for just importantly, the chiropractor's career.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to see the associates that are very happy. They not only are getting good training or becoming a good chiropractor and maybe getting paid well, they're a part of a team that they enjoy going to work with. Just really trying to help owners be able to set that up and to get on the right pathway. So that's what I've been busy with this week. It's tough, but it's exciting as well.
Yeah. And it's so much based on exactly what we're trying to get across here with Action Over Ideas. And that is that, like, it's all about harmony. Like, you
Yeah.
can't, like, at the end of the day, what we want to do is achieve great results for our community. We want to make our, help our community be happier, healthier, more vibrant,
Yeah.
live better quality of lives through chiropractic and through the help we provide them in our practices. But we can only do that if we have happy team members and we have, a culture that is
Yeah.
designed and works well together so that, we're able to do what we do and what we love to do. So it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I may be biased, but I think team's the most important part. It's yeah, to build that out, but also to create, what goals the chiropractor wants to achieve in the owner. It's very important. But yeah, super happy to be here. It's
Yeah.
episode 3
Well,
now. How
yeah,
good?
speaking of action over ideas, episode 3, we got here. Like,
Yeah, we did.
so
We
yep,
did. It's been,
episode 3.
it's been very good. And today's topic is marketing basics that some owners may ignore. I'm very excited to hear your take on this with your experience and what you see as well. So, yeah, what are you
Right. Well,
thinking around this one?
okay. Well, first of all, I want to preface and I don't want to sort of anticlimax this. This is not going to be an episode on like marketing tactics and strategies, like, oh, you should be doing Facebook ads or you should be doing, dinner talks, etc. Obviously, all those things are part of your marketing strategy, but because for us, it is really getting you to have action over ideas.
Yeah,
I wanted to kind of break it down that allows us to look at the role of the owner and the role of the associate and as a team and how they both work well to actually bring about better marketing. And so obviously having great marketing strategies, but you need people, you need the team to actually get it over the line as well. So some of the key things we want to talk about is like generally you probably see this very, very often, and that is that owners survive chaos because as owners we do have that hustle, like, and
yeah,
if we've been in the business for long enough, we've worked the 24/7, we've worked the weekends, we've hustled,
yeah.
and chaos can sometimes be a friend. It can be definitely a foe, but and so we can work quite well when it comes to having to manage lots of different things. However, I do believe that associates can drown in the chaos, and especially
Mm.
if they come into an environment where the the expectation of the owner is like, hey, you gotta be on my wavelength, you gotta do what I gotta do, and the associate can sometimes be drowning and overwhelmed with just the amount of stuff they have to do. So that's number one, and then marketing is a big part of that. The other thing also is that owners, because of the way they're tuned and how they operate, they can often wing things. Okay, because they've had to, they've had to
Yeah.
wing things. They've had to kind of, and that's that sort of chaos. But this kind of environment can cause friction with an associate. All right, so there's that, and then the third sort of area, that's the third sort of area I want to sort of touch on, that is, marketing without order and without the ability of the owner to bring about sort of an understanding to the associate or what's going on with the marketing business. That's going to actually kill the confidence of the associate, kill the confidence of the practice as a whole, and then reduce performance. What are your thoughts?
Ah, there's some great points there. Look, I'm no expert in marketing and would never pretend to be one, but I love the points around how do we communicate this to our team and set up a whatever it is, whatever strategy it is, to that everyone understands what they're doing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
straight away, I'd love to unpack more about that. The associates drowning. Like I think a lot now thinking about it, I hear this a lot and I can see it a lot in different practices. So how does an owner, tackle that?
Oh, well, I think, well, it's one of those situations where an owner definitely needs to understand their whole suite of marketing strategies they've got, and they might not have it many at all. And they might, and that's something that we obviously need to help them with. But it's if if the noise and if the chaos is in the mind of the owner, then
Hmm.
it's only going to confuse the not only confuse the actual consumer, the patients,
Yeah.
the community you're serving, but it's going to confuse the associate. The associates can often inherit broken systems. So they go in there,
Ooh.
and then in many cases, you can comment on this because you see it all the time, is that one of the big roles, one of the sort of things that an associate is given the job to do is like, okay, great, you're going to have to go and market. You're going to have to
Yeah.
go and market yourself. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that the associate needs to use their skills and their understanding of marketing, or is it for them to use what's already happening currently in the practice in the business, or a
Yeah.
combination of both? Now, there's no wrong or right for this. I often think that it's obviously a combination, because you would expect that the practice that they're moving into has a set of marketing strategies that need to operate and have success over, and then for them to bring their own know, like, and trust aspect to it, their own characteristics, their own personality to it. But the challenge often is that they just kind of get thrown in and go, okay, well, this is what we've done. You go and do more of it. And then, it can often be that associates inherit these broken systems.
Yeah.
And then their confidence drops really quickly, because messages can change. Sometimes on a weekly basis, owners can be like, "Oh, we're doing this," and then next week we'll go, "We're doing this," and then, "Oh, and then the associates go, "Oh, you said you're going to do this, but then now we've changed this," and then this
Yeah.
whole, what I would say, I know that we hear about the shiny object, or the all that kind of stuff. I like to coin it the new tactic addiction. All right, owners, we don't want to have this develop in our associates, where I'm sure that they all understand this, that it's kind of like, always looking for the new tactic. What's that new thing that I can do that's going to improve me here? And then I drop that and then go to the next thing, and I drop that and I go to the next thing. And then what happens is it sends a really confused message to not only associates, but to the team as a whole, that A, you're not sticking to with anything, and B, it's how are we actually going to manage all these things going on? How are we measuring them? And are we actually sort of finding out whether things are working? Because by the time we've gone to the next thing, it hasn't gone to, we haven't allowed the process, and so it's probably ending up sort of in a situation where we just don't even know what's working or what's not. Yeah.
Yeah. And would you say that if it keeps changing, then that chaos, like you were talking about before, then the associate doesn't get a chance to actually get good at it, and then that slows down the growth of the practice for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Mm.
And I love to use analogies, and one of the analogies I love to use in this situation is the bike and the training wheels. When you're learning how to ride a bike, right?
Yeah.
So, um, if you're getting your associate to, obviously, getting into the role, and if, let's just say that one of their roles is helping you with their marketing, your business, and I think that I would safely say that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter whether you're the owner, it doesn't matter whether you're associate, it doesn't matter you're a CA, practice manager, tech CA. A big part of your role is marketing, and
Yeah.
marketing is inherent in every kind of role. And I would say one of the really important things for people to understand is marketing isn't really about getting new people in the door. All right. I mean, yes, that's a great result for your marketing, but I think the true definition of marketing is to building awareness of who you are and your brand in your community. All right. And so, if we only have the metric of marketing is ROI about like a new lead, a new person on my appointment book, then we've got it wrong. And we're going to end up sort of going down that road of like being addicted to the new sort of tactic that we can
Mm.
put in place. But if it's what can I do? And what are the multiple things that we have to constantly do on a regular basis that builds and strengthens our brand awareness in our community, so
Yeah.
that people know who we are, people can start to engage with who we are, and then build that trust in who we are, try us, and then end up being, a client, etc. Yeah. But going back to that training wheel, sorry for kind of going on tangent. Most owners, what happens is that we tend to put training wheels on the bike, and then
Yeah.
we help the associate along the way. Okay, and this could be that we've got a whole lot of Facebook ads going on. We've got a lot of sort of ads, or multiple things going on that are generating new leads and everything else. The thing that we always say, as with coaching, with consulting, especially in the episodes here, is that you cannot outmarket dot dot dot. All right. And so what I mean by that is you cannot outmarket poor retention. You cannot outmarket poor communications. You cannot outmarket poor relationship building. poor understanding of processes, bad, poor systems, etc. And so the key thing is that you can constantly add more people to the funnel, but if we're not actually helping the associate understand the marketing journey of these people, and that is that it's yes, it's the front end stuff, but it's also the back end. It's like making sure that we're having some great consultations, we're having good systems in place, we're having an amazing client journey, we're providing value,
Yeah.
we're certain, we're confident, we're clear about what we're doing, our communication. All those things matter. And if we
Yeah.
don't do all that, then it's basically just keeping those training wheels on the bike, and then the associate just has to keep coasting, but they never actually learn what to do. Yeah.
Wow. I really like when you said you can't outmarket poor communication.
Mm,
I want to throw out or debunk something right now because this is a hot topic that comes up with me a lot with associates looking for positions, owners looking to hire is, oh, how many new people do I need to have for my associate to build?
mm,
Or the associate asking the same question. And that statement there, I'd love for everyone listening to really digest that. You could get 10 new patients in the door every week, but if your communication isn't there, then
mm.
those 10 new people turn to nothing and actually impacts the brand or the message to the community. And I
Yeah.
say this to especially a lot of students and associates coming out is it's really important to find an owner that can actually transfer that skill
Mm,
because I know some great people only getting 2 to 3 new people a week and they've grown a great practice and they're happy and they're enjoying it. So I feel like there's a little bit of a stigma around that. And necessarily, in my opinion, you don't need heaps. You need the right people and you need to have the confidence to be able to deliver or communicate what you are trying to help the patient with, too.
yeah.
So I want to
Yeah.
throw that one out. What's your thoughts there on that? That's a
Well,
spanner.
absolutely. It's well, currently it's the Winter Olympics, and
Yeah.
so you're watching all those amazing athletes, doing the ski jumps and the bobsled and ice skating, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That it's so like it's the analogy or the kind of the sort of metaphor that I have in that is that it's that when we have a new grad or an associate that like we can't just thrust them onto the Olympic stadium and expect them to win gold. All right. They need to go through all the training. Just because they know how to put on some ice skates and skate does not mean that they can perform at the Olympic level. And so
Mm,
the thing is that what happens is that we get in a situation often that we want an associate and we get them in there to start to build their practice, and we're like, oh, like, hey, why aren't you building your practice, and what's going on with your retention and all that kind of stuff as well. And it's because we've just thrusted them into the limelight of an Olympic stadium and we expect them to perform, when really, and it's hard because like, associates cost us money,
yeah.
associates cost us time and resources, and so we want to get our ROI on them as soon as possible. But it always comes back to slow things down and you'll get better results. Like, give them the opportunity to learn, build that
Yeah.
foundation. Like, it's like, I learned this from a number of mentors and friends of mine, and I use this all the time, and that is that a foundation of a building is absolutely necessary. You cannot build any building without a foundation. But
Yeah.
no one ever goes to the hotel of a beautiful, or an apartment block and says, this is a sexy looking foundation, because it's not. It's a block of concrete. It's just an ugly block of concrete and you can't even see it, right? But
Yeah.
everyone talks about the terracotta tiles, the chevron,
Yeah.
the tiles, or the taps, and what appliances, and we've got this bedroom and we've got the butler's pantry and whatever it is, right? You cannot have all those cool things without the foundation. But once you've got that foundation, then you can start to have those cool things on there. And if you're talking about a multi-level building, every level is built upon a solid foundation. And
Yeah.
so I know that, like, people here are going, hey, Chris and Billy are supposed to be talking about marketing. This is really important. And that is that we need to start off with a really solid foundation. And if that solid foundation is to spend the time energy and resources to get your associates so that they aren't just thrust onto the Olympic stadium, that they get trained up, they learn,
Yep.
they understand what's going on. They have that training, they have the understanding of the systems, they know what's happening. That's super important. And that takes
Yeah.
time. And you're
Yep.
probably not going to get the ROI straight away in the beginning, but that is something that I always say to my clients, that you'll get it like, way more down the track, versus if you try and sort of have that chaos and get them to do things and then they make mistakes and they don't work and then they churn through new clients and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm talking too much. What are your thoughts?
I just love how many examples you have up in your mind up there. This is amazing. I love it. I love the
Oh,
idea around foundation isn't sexy.
mm,
I've never thought about that before. That is very true.
yeah,
And to add on to that as well is I think marketing tactics, or strategies, there's heaps out there. There's some great people that can help you with that. It doesn't matter how good your strategy is if your team doesn't want to implement it, because
yeah,
otherwise you may as well just do it yourself.
mm,
And that's a big part of what I see with training and marketing is if you're going to build out a ecosystem that your associates become successful, they need the training and the support, like to learn everything before they jump into the Winter Olympics.
mm,
So that then you can step back as the owner and go do things or work on the business or spend some time with family. But then your associates still feel like they're feeling heard, that they're supported, and that creates a successful career for them.
yeah,
And that's the message I'm trying to get out there too is, and I say to students and associates, when you join a business, you do cost the business money. It's not just owners saying that. It's not just owners saying that.
yeah,
And when I talk to owners, I say, well, you want to hire someone that it's worth it. And if they're a great person, they'll appreciate the support, the training around the marketing, and that they'll want to stay.
yeah,
And that's so important.
yeah,
And you were
yeah.
saying before around owners winging it. How does an owner not wing it when it comes to this? I feel like that could be a really good action step there for people who are listening to this, because I do see that a lot. It's like if they're winging it, but then they expect the associate to wing it, the associate's probably not used to the chaos, like you said. So,
Yeah.
what's some ideas around that?
Oh, we could go on for hours talking about that one. But okay, I'm gonna go straight to the point, and that is that growth always happens at the junction between chaos and order, right? Okay, so once again, I'll use some analogies. I'll use some
Yep,
storytelling. All right. So if we only have order, then we're never going to grow. And what I mean,
yep,
I'll give you. So the example I have is I love coffee. Love coffee.
yep,
And so I'm a barista and I'm making coffee. And so
yep,
now the thing is, that I'm a one person coffee maker. I've got like a coffee cart, and so you come on, you ask the order, I make it, take the payment, and then I give you the coffee. And generally, I can get it done in maybe sort of under 5 minutes. By the time I take the payment, etc. Blah blah.
yep,
Now, you love the coffee. You love the coffee, and you go, "Oh, I'm going to tell my friends about the coffee that Billy makes." Okay, so now I get two people coming. Right, so you can see now there's some chaos. Now the chaos, and I'm like, okay, cool. I can kind of handle it. I can handle it. All right. So, and so, however, what happens is that I'll get to a point where the chaos is greater than the order. Okay, because I've got
yep,
my systems in place. All right. And so in order for me to grow, I now need to have today's chaos be tomorrow's order. All right. So I'll repeat that. Today's chaos needs to be tomorrow's order. So what I mean by
mm,
that, and that is that if I start seeing that I've got, in every 10 minutes, I'm getting three or four clients coming to ask for coffee, then I'm going to need to have my systems in place. So I'm going to make sure that I've got to be dialed in with how I take the payments. It might be that I tap the payment straight away or whatever it is. Or it could be that I've got a system in place. I don't talk as much between making coffees, etc. But then I'll also get to a point where that if my coffee is great and you love it and you start telling
yep.
more people, that I'm gonna, so can you see now that growth happens at the edge of chaos and order? Now, if you only have chaos, then you'll never grow. But if you only
Yeah.
have order, meaning that if I only ever go, look, I can only make one coffee every 5 minutes or one coffee every 10 minutes, so I'll never grow. But it's
Yeah.
that thing. But in order for me to grow and sustain that growth, today's chaos needs to be tomorrow's order. All right. And so it can get to a point where I'll need to start to hire someone. I might need to hire an assistant. I need to hire someone that's going to help me who takes the order. Then I make the coffee and then they, etc. Can you see that? So in the
Yeah.
in a chiropractic practice, it's the same thing. All right. And that is that we the only way we can grow is that we need to actually have elements of chaos. And the chaos is like we're going to do some social media. We're going to do some
Yep.
advertising. We're going to do
Yep.
some, some events, spinal screenings. We're going to write some blogs. We're going to go and do an outreach. We're going to walk the street, do the old school way that I used to when I first graduated. Walk the street, walk my suburb, and talk to people.
Yeah.
Introduce myself, hello, have a chat, etc. Like all those different things that adds chaos, that adds energy in there, all right? But then in order for us to grow, then as we start to get people coming through, we need to actually look at how our systems are in place. And our systems are so important. I think James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits,
Yeah.
now I'm going to do a really crappy job of paraphrasing it, but he talks about that, that we might set goals, we might set sort of, outcomes we want to achieve, but they're limited by the standard or the level of our systems. So if we have great systems, then we'll actually rise to that level. We have poor systems, then we'll never rise to the level that we want to get to. And so
Yep.
we want to make sure that our systems and our processes are on lock and we understand that. And going back to our initial conversation around marketing and associates and helping them move from that chaos into the order, we have to get them to understand those systems. All right. And without those understanding, without their clarity, their certainty, their confidence around what needs to happen, then that's going to end up affecting the clarity, certainty, and the confidence within the people they serve, and they're going to get not so great results. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. I think that's a great analogy there. And even just to add to that, taking the time to write it down and systemize it
Mm.
is the action step I say for everyone who
Oh,
asks me. And it's
yeah.
painful. You're not going to want to do it. It's tedious. I hear you. But to transfer that skill over to an associate, there needs to be some kind of order around, hey, if we are doing a social media post, this is what you do. Hey, if we're going out to the community, this is how you do it. And I also share with owners that to help an associate get up on their feet, you've got to show them first. That's why they're there, is to
Mm.
learn. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they'd go start their own business if they wanted to stumble through it by themselves.
Yeah,
So when it comes
absolutely.
to the marketing and the winging it and the chaos, if you can slow it down and actually create some sort of system, like you're saying, so that when more orders of coffee comes through, that
Mm.
the associate can handle that, everyone wins. They feel better. They feel more grateful. The owner doesn't have to be as hands-on in the future, and the community appreciates it too. So I
Yeah.
always slow owners down to go, hey, can you show me a marketing implementation plan? Can you
Yeah.
show me what the training looks like? Is it weekly? What are you talking about in the training? Those
Yeah.
type of things create clarity.
Yeah. And these days with AI, it just makes it super simple, right? So
Yeah.
here's a pro tip for our listeners, okay? It's often the how do I do SOPs, standard operating procedures, systems and processes, how do I do it? Or you may have old sort of folders of things that you've got, and then you go, how do I update them? Use technology, and often it's not it's probably not going to cost you that much, or it can be free. All right. So one thing you can do, you could, for example, you and I, let's just say that it's a procedure around, if I'm telling you, if I'm going, hey Chris, what we're going to do, I'm going to now run through with you what I do with my onboarding of a new client. All right. I'm going to take you through exactly what happens. I'm going to also um, give you some scripts and everything else. And so what I
Yep.
would do is we can do this on Zoom, or we can do it on Loom, and I'd record it. So I'd take you through it. So, I blah, 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 take you through it. Then you can just take that recording, feed it into AI, and then say, look, I want to develop an SOP or a procedure manual around this training. All right. I want you, and you could prompt it to say, I want you to take the main points, I want you whatever, put it into a Word doc, etc., blah, blah, or even a Google Doc, and it does that. And then what happens is that you can then have that as and the video as well. So it's multimodal. So you have the video, but you can
Yeah.
have the document.
Yeah.
And remember that your systems and processes need to be a living organism. They have to be a living
Yeah.
document or an organic. They can't just be locked in there, like my folders in my bookshelf. That they're there and they don't change. Okay, they need to be constantly updated. And so what you do is that, for example, in 2 months' time or 3 months, you go, actually, that thing that we did, I learned something from the Action Over Ideas podcast, and I went to a seminar, and I want to change that. You just re-update. So you take it once again, you could either prompt or you could do another video, and then you go, can you now update the last document with these new additions and blah, blah, and it does that for you. It's super simple. And it's, and
Yeah.
the only thing that stops, or the two things that stops people from using SOPs, I think, after many years of coaching clients, and that is that getting started to do it, because it is a lot of work. Now I've just given
Yeah.
you approach it to make it easy for you. And the second thing is that if it's on a shelf or it's somewhere, your team just doesn't ever get access to it. All right. So make your SOPs, make your systems part of the weekly, monthly activities that you do. So,
Great.
like, for example, if I updated this, then what I would do is that I'd send an email to the team, or I'd have in a team meeting, we've just updated it. Just I want you to watch it, or I want you to have a read of the new update, and then give me feedback. All right, give me feedback. Give me one or two things that you learned from it, and maybe
Yeah.
even some suggestions that could be improved. All right, and that has to be mandatory that they do that, because what happens is that it gets them to log into Google Drive, or use
Yeah.
the thing and watch it, etc., and gets them to be part of the whole process and gives you feedback. And that means that they'll use it. They know where it is. Whereas if the SOPs and the systems manuals are only ever used on the onboarding training and they never get used again, they're useless. Yeah.
Yeah. You forget them.
Yeah.
There's so much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And it's also the communication from how an owner explains them to their team. I find there's a massive gap there as well. And that might be the chaos side of things too.
Yeah.
But when I go into a practice and I'm interviewing the associate within the practice, and if there's an issue currently, a lot of the times, I'd say 9 times out of 10, the associate's confused.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
they actually don't know what they're doing. And
Oh,
if we could just simplify it and, like you said, draw an SOP, make it super simple. Hey doc, just need to do these two things every week, and I feel like that will help you grow your book or your impact. If we just did that more and slow it down, we'll see greater success versus what you said about being what do you say, being addicted to the
tactic addiction.
tactic addiction. I
Yeah.
really like that there, because
Yeah.
instead of switching and changing, it's just slowing it down and
Yeah.
implementing
Yeah.
whatever's been said there. And that's something that I'm trying to fill the gap with, is just because a lot of the times the associates, I think they could be a good strategy, but they're like, oh, I don't agree with the strategy, or I'm confused.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we're confused, like, we don't make decisions. Like, we have this whole confusion problem around what to do, and then so we freeze and we stop making decisions. Same as our consumers, our clients, our patients that we see. Like, when they're confused, when they don't have the clarity, the certainty, and the confidence in the practitioner and what they've communicated, and it doesn't speak to their values, and it doesn't
Yeah.
speak to what they need and their goals, then they're more than likely not going to, or they may not choose to say yes to your recommendations. Or if they do, because people do buy initially from emotion, because, like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh well, I'm in such pain, or I've had such a huge problem that now it seems like you're the right person. They do say yes, but very, very quickly it switches from that part of the brain to the analytical side of the brain, where it's like, I now need to sort of have logic and reasoning behind why I'm staying. And if I'm not, once again, I don't have the clarity, I don't have the certainty, and I don't have the confidence in you, in the communication, in my understanding, then they're going to bail. So it's really, really important. And like I think that we're like this is it was open up so many conversations, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
do one last analogy, not one last analogy for the whole of our series, but one last analogy for this episode, and that is
Let's do it.
the when we're just too focused on the front end, and the front end of the business is just more leads, feeding that new patient monster, chaos. Front end is also like, trying to push your associate into a situation where they're not clear about what needs to happen, they
Yeah.
haven't built that foundation, etc. It is very, very similar to the warning, the oil light on your car going off, right? And you're like, all right, well, something's not right. The results aren't right. And that warning light for most, businesses, it's like, well, we're not, people aren't saying yes, revenue's down, associates not making, like not building their practice, etc. And what do? We feed the engine with more oil. We go, okay, well, maybe we should do more spinal screenings. We need to do more ads. We need to get more new patients through the door, because if we get more new patients through the door, we can turn off that engine light, so that oil light. But we need to. I mean, look, you know the answer, all right? What's more important? Just filling it up with more oil, or opening up the engine, the bonnet, and having a look at what's going on, doing some diagnostic and having a look, looking at your metrics, looking at your data, interviewing and having meetings, like having a look at your systems and processes, all those things that provide you order. All right. Where are the gaps? What's happening? And using, once again, the car analogy, the oil being burnt too much is more than likely a failure of the engine not being efficient. And the
Yeah.
engine not being efficient could be the way you drive. It could be
Yeah.
something's wrong with the engine. It could be a part that's not working. It could be a number of things and it could be, retention. It could be systems. It could be your CAs are not booking people the right way, etc. There's all those different things, and so it's super important to like to open up the bonnet and do a diagnostic and have a look, rather than just when the light's on to go, oh wow, we need more new clients, we need more new clients, we need and we start to feed this ugly sort of new patient monster that I always sort of say in my posts and everything else on social media. It's kind of, it hides somewhere in your practice, but it's there because
Yeah.
it always appears.
Yeah. It sounds like you're talking about finding the root cause of
Yeah.
the, yeah.
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 Chiropractors are good at that, aren't they?
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
applying that to their business.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm, yeah.
And then look, I'm just going to leave it here, and then I'll let you kind of segue out of this episode. But
You're on fire, Billy. You're on fire.
look, I'm very passionate about this, and look, I do really, really believe that sometimes business owners might need to stop, pause, and reflect, and ask themselves the transparent question, like, do I need an associate? Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
am I wanting an
Yeah.
associate to fix something that I haven't fixed, or I think that they'll fix, when
Yeah.
really it's up to me to actually fix that problem, or to actually provide a solution for that.
Yeah.
Because I hate to say this, and obviously, we want associates and practice owners to obviously have great relationships and to build, great teams, because
Yeah.
who benefits? Obviously, the community benefits. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
Patient outcomes are absolutely paramount, but obviously this business has to improve and benefit. But if it means that that it doesn't happen that way, and it could actually be stopped by having that sort of thought process, do I really need an associate? Do I really need to expand? Is it just that I'm not doing the things right, or I need to get things fixed? That's a question. That's an initial thing, I think, that most practitioners need to ask themselves before they embark on a team member.
That's a massive question. I want to add a few thoughts onto that briefly. But
Mm.
while I'm doing that as well, Billy, we'll have to give the audience their stop, start, and success metric. And since you've been on fire today, start thinking about that, what we're going to leave them with. But I just want to touch on that point there, because it's one of the big questions I ask anyone that either reaches out to me or I reach out to them is, are you ready? Because if you're not ready, if you don't have the marketing set up, if you don't have the capacity, if you don't have the training set up, all that's going to happen is associate comes on board, everyone's excited, they get 3 to 6 months in, and then they realize it's not the right fit. And the impact there financially for you as an owner is massive, absolutely massive. 90 to 150,000 it could be, right? And the impact for the associate and their career, they have to pick up again, change, learn new systems, maybe they have to relocate. I hate seeing that too. And this is where I strongly recommend that you seek some sort of coaching. It could be with Billy, it could be there's heaps of other coaches out there as well before you actually bring someone on, because that's stacking the success or probability of success in our favor. And when an owner reaches out to me and they say, yep, I'm coaching with Billy, I'm doing this, I've got marketing support, and I've got capacity and energy to bring someone on, I get so excited. I'm like, I know, 6 to 7 associates or students that would be fantastic to learn from you. I get excited around that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, like, compared to, oh, I just want to bring someone on because I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And what will
Yeah.
happen is it just becomes more exhausting
Well,
for
yeah,
the
and
owner.
it's going back to that oil analogy in the car is filling up the oil tank
Yes.
is like an associate. And you're like,
Yeah.
look, the engine light or the oil light's gone off. I'm gonna get some more oil. That's the associate. But realistically, we haven't actually done any diagnostics and seen that, look, it's because you're inefficient, it's because this is going on, because of that, because you haven't you're working in so much chaos and not enough order that you aren't able to grow. And so when we add in the oil, that's great. It'll work for a little while, but
Yep.
those same problems are going to occur. And then we're going to, possibly we might blame the associate.
Yep.
The associate's going to blame the owner.
Yep.
There's going to be tension. The team's going to feel like uncomfortable, and there's going to be tension there. It's a disaster. So
Absolute disaster. And then I'm in there trying to put out the fire everywhere. And I
yeah,
rather be
yeah.
helping build teams than doing that. That's
You're
for
the
sure.
HR rescue man. All right. So what are we going to do for the stop, start, and success metric? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me think. All right, on the spot. So stop. Okay. Stop chasing tactics. All right.
Yep.
Stop having that addiction to tactics and the addiction for new clients. All right. So have a healthy need and want and growth mindset
Yes.
around new clients, but stop
Yes.
having and obviously and then stop blaming your marketing for sales problems, retention problems, process problems, systems problems, staff problems, right? So there's that.
Yep.
Something to start them with. Okay, start with the foundation, right? I gave, we spoke about the foundation. I gave that analogy. Like, those tactics are up there. They're not going to work unless you have a foundation, right?
Yep.
So start with the foundation, go back to basics and go, what do I need to do? And here's the thing as well. I actually had a client just recently, and it's a situation similar to this. And they said, oh, you know what? It was great because you told me to go back to the foundations, and I found out that my foundations weren't that solid. And so
Ooh.
what I did was that my associate and we
Yeah.
really worked our foundation and rebuilt that. And now we feel like that we understand what's going on. We can start to build on top of that. So start with foundation.
I like that.
And then success metrics, there's so many of them, but like use that car analogy with the oil light on that is. So avoid like think of back end data over front end noise. All right. So stop looking at the dashboard and just looking at the warning light. Go and open up the boot, go and stick in the mechanic's computer or whatever you do, and have a look. Is it care plan conversion rates? Is it do you have a good enrollment and a good conversion sort of process that goes on? Are you adding value? Are you communicating? All those different things. So they're your success metrics.
Love it. Thank you for the summary. You've been on fire this morning.
Oh,
Geez,
no,
you woke up. You're ready to inspire. I've even learned a few
absolutely.
things from this too. This is brilliant. Yeah, two birds, one stone for me.
Absolutely. No, 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 no. This is what I mean, like, I think that the viewers and the listeners understand that we're passionate about this. That's why we love talking about this. We might sort of, go on tangents, but I think that everything that we talk about, it always comes back to how can we get you to take more action, not just think about ideas.
Yeah, love it. Just want to say thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Like we said in every episode, send us messages, feedback, what you want to hear. We're super open about it. And we'd love to hear it from you. And hopefully this has helped you. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
That's a wrap on today's episode of the Action Over Ideas podcast. If something you heard today made you think, that's awesome, but thinking isn't enough, pick one thing from today's conversation and do something with it this week. If this episode added value, share it with a fellow practice owner who needs to hear it. And we'll see you next episode. Decisions first, results follow.